the work that we do as far as doing professional photos and writing a good ad, making it look very presentable online. But the seller has some work to do there too. Cleaning your baseboard, freshening up some landscape, spring cleaning, tidying up, decluttering, all the stuff that we tell people to do. Very, very important because you see your house one way, but other people are the ones that are looking at it.
When you're selling, listen to the realtor if they say there's strong odors. A lot of houses that have pets have odors that you don't notice. So if there are strong odors, fix those before you allow showings.
Yeah, don't be offended.
It's constructive criticism.
The Den, powered by the Lions Group, a show that explores trending topics in real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of professionals with over $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 successful transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Welcome to The Den.
Today, we're going to discuss the 4 different stages of selling your property. And for our audience who may not know, there are 4 stages. You could break them out into 6 or to 8 stages, but for talking purposes today and to keep things simple, because I'm simple, we're just going to talk about 4. The first stage of selling is the market analysis and your pricing strategy. That's number 1. Number 2 is prepping your home for sale. There's a whole stage involved with that. We're going to discuss that more. And the 3rd is actually going to market, being actively on the market. And the 4th stage is once you get a contract, the contract to close component. So let's dive right into it. Paul Berry, I'm going to kick it off with you.
Okay.
The first stage is the market analysis and pricing strategy. Talk to us about that process a little bit. If you're a seller, what would you expect? What are some of the thoughts you should be thinking? And how do you approach the first stage of selling your home?
Well, I think the first step is to find a qualified realtor to help you with this. And then the second step is to listen to that qualified realtor.
Good advice.
And what they say.
Good advice.
Because what we do when we're doing a market analysis, we've talked about this on previous podcasts, is we go over, kind of just the raw data, what the neighborhood has gotten for prices lately. We go by the closed properties, because that's what the assessors are going to look at when they value the home. We go by, general square footage, age, amenities, condition. So we just take the raw data and then compare it to what else has sold in the area, and then we come up with that price. Then I think condition goes into the pricing strategy after that, because if there are some repairs, usually you start in a little bit less. If it's a pristine home and you think you're going to get multiple offers, you might want to start lower to bring the price up. But those are things that I think are important to talk about up front. And then our job is to manage the expectation of the seller to say, here's all the things that could happen, and here's what we think will happen. Because we know based on condition and desirability of the home, because a lot of times, the homes are quirky or the yard is a mess or something like that, somebody's going to have to come in and put some money in. We take that into account when we price a home. And we also, I think there's a big misconception of either overpricing or way underpricing. And I know we at the Lions Group don't play those games. When I price a house, I usually take what the situation of the seller is. So if they need a bunch of money, I'll go, well, here's the top of what you could get. Or if they want to get rid of it quick, okay, here's, we could go here and probably get exactly what you need.
Be aggressive.
Be aggressive. Yep. But I think we here at the Lions Group, I think we're all under we do the same thing, price it appropriately, what we think it'll appraise for.
Yeah, that bandwidth of pricing it high. When you say pricing it high, some people are thinking up here. No, there's a short bandwidth here.
Yeah, so, and it could be about $10,000, up or down.
Yeah. And so you have that wiggle room. But I think what you make is a fantastic point. And for our audience is every time we go out on a market analysis, when we start talking with an owner, is we're building a picture. We're building this up. And Paul referenced the raw data. We take that raw data and we start creating a picture with it. Here's kind of the lay of the land. And then based on that, we got to start, whittling it down to your home. And then the stuff comes into play is, well, how well have you taken care of your home over the years? Are there any quirkiness? Because quirkiness can kill value. Can we address that? Is there staging problems? Things like that. We'll get into that in the next stage. But Shannon, do you agree with Paul mostly in that regard? The stage one is about building the picture, using the raw data, and then that's kind of separate than the pricing strategy itself, painting the picture of what the market analysis is, and then you have a pricing strategy.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I always try to figure out what I think we're going to get for a sales price and then figure out how we're going to approach that. And that usually depends on, like you said, what the needs of the seller are and also what the current conditions in the market are. We also take into consideration once we decide what we think it's going to sell for, and we also figure out where the seller's at with things. They need to move fast. They've got a little bit of time. They, need to get the top of where they're at, or, they have a lot of equity. Wherever they're at, then we want to look at, well, what's going on in the area too, or what's going on in the current market. That may not work with, well, you've got 12 other homes in your neighborhood on the market. You may not be able to, be super aggressive with your price and try to get, the highest amount. You might want to try to be more competitive. And then those discussions can happen. Yeah. There's a kind of a lot of steps there between finding where the price is and then where your strategy is going to be to actually get it sold.
Yeah.
And I think an important thing when you're going through the raw data is this house is in a slow moving category. Mm-hmm. This is in a fast moving category. I think I guess that's in the next step, but that's one of the big things too. If you have a huge house, you need to know that the market, interest rates are high. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to be taken out of this home because monthly payments are going to be a lot higher than people would think.
Yeah. And if you have raw land, 40 miles out of town,
There's one property that I have to say, I came across it. It's 40 acres and it's priced at $1.5 million. I was like, this is ridiculous. And it's all swamp.
Gold mine on it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the raw data would not make that feasible. So that's when the seller is probably dictating the price. And that's when we have to be the professionals and say, I can't do it for that.
Yeah. You're managing expectations at that point.
And I think that's in the first stage. Has to be, yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Very first stage is we have to manage and set expectations with our sellers. And we have to take that raw data. That's why you're hiring a professional realtor. Take that raw data and interpret it for you, because you can have raw data all day. We've all got access to raw data, but there's all kinds of micro markets within, like you're saying. I mean, a higher end home in a great area, but higher interest rates, right? So you have different things going on. You've got these little things that are tweaking the micro markets. And to really understand what's going to impact your home and the sellability of your property, you have to consider all of that. That's part of the landscape. So when you start getting into the pricing strategy, and what we just discussed, there's a small bandwidth, right? When we say price high, we're not meaning price way up here. We're like
not like 80,000 over, what it's going to appraise for.
Within that reasonable expectation, wouldn't you say, Shannon? Yeah. Is that how you kind of approach it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can say this will get you, this will maximize, but you're not pricing out of the market. And this on the lower end of the bandwidth, which may be like Paul said, $10,000 lower, that's being a little more aggressive with your price if you want something to move quick and really get as much attraction as possible. Hi, I'm Ben Lyons, a partner at the Lyons Group. We're dedicated to making your real estate experience the best it can be. If you're looking to buy or sell, go to sjcbroker.com and watch our informational video series. These videos break down the process and shed some light on buying or selling. While you're there, schedule a private consultation with one of our partners. We'd love to sit down, talk strategy, and give you a real advantage in today's market. You deserve the best. So take those steps and we'll see you soon. Now back to the show.
When I think in one thing for people, non-realtors to know, that when we price a house or we talk about this pricing strategy, we have to consider what the appraiser is going to come in at. So what I was saying is we have to know, because we do our market analysis based on the same things that the appraisers are going to look at. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to come up with a different number and then say, yeah, but we can go 25 grand over this, because we know that appraiser is going to come in and give you this same range.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you consider the different aspects of the market. Like 3 or 4 years ago, right, when the market was burning hot, you could say we could price here and that's where the comps are. But if the price pushes up, or we could justify higher, Appraisers may work with us because we're getting 6, 7, 10 offers on a property. That's not the situation anymore. So to your point, appraisers are going to be looking at these comps going, I don't know if I want to make that leap because it's their neck that's out there when they appraise the property higher than the comps. They'll give you some latitude, right? Especially if you have multiple offers. But, a lot of times that doesn't happen in this market. So you've got some change. So that's step number 1, which is the market analysis and the pricing strategy. And don't forget, you have to pick a great realtor to interpret that raw data and really start dialing that in. Step 2, Shannon, coming to you because you're really good at this, prepping the home for market. Now, people sleep on this step. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, they just want to go straight from, I got a price, now I want to go to market. Why would you not want to skip or sleep on that step?
Well, it depends on, do you want every ounce of equity that you've earned in that house? Do you want to maximize what you're going to get on that house? And I think it's really important, the work that we do as far as doing professional photos and, doing our homework and writing a good ad and making it look very presentable online. That's a part of our work that we have to do at that point. But the seller has some work to do there too, and that may include, cleaning your baseboards, and they include, freshening up some landscape outside. There's a lot of things that sellers need to do. And a lot of times they want to bypass that. They don't think that's a big deal. They live in that house. They've never noticed that before. But if you notice, you walk into your house every day and you don't even see things. You don't see all the fingerprints on the walls and the light switch plates. When you go to somebody else's house, it's the first thing that you see.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that's their first impression when they come to that house. So those things are very important. It's very important to do that. Spring cleaning, tidying up, decluttering, all the stuff that we tell people to do. Very, very important because you see your house one way, but other people are the ones that are looking at it. And they may not, you understand that they're not buying those things. And that is true. But it does set the tone for their impression when they walk in the door. When they walk in the door and it's dirty and it's cluttered, they don't want to live in that kind of a house, even though your stuff's going to be out of it. They already feel that way when they walk in there. And once they've got that feeling, it doesn't feel like home. You want it to feel like home.
Yeah,
you want it to feel good.
There's a total different feeling when you walk up to a house and it's just completely buttoned up and everything's in order. It doesn't look like anything's been neglected. And then you go into the house. That's your first stage. But if you walk up to a house and the landscaping's disheveled, you can tell the bushes haven't been trimmed in years. Some of the
realtor can't get in the front door because the lock is sticking. I always tell people that's the first impression. If they can't even get in the door, it already says you don't take care of things.
Yeah.
Just fix your lock before you put it on the market.
Yeah, because immediately, and we don't like to admit it.
It's the
funniest thing.
You jump in there. Well, and the realtor's
majority of homes are like that.
Yeah, many times I've had to look at a customer and say, "Can you get this?"
Yeah.
Or
you have to call the guy who's like, "Is there a trick?"
Yeah.
You have to bang on it or something.
Back the key out.
Pull the key out a little bit, wiggle it. Then put some pressure on the door. Exactly. That doesn't start off well because you automatically know if they can't even get in their own front door, they probably haven't taken care of the roof.
Yeah,
they probably have leaking windows. They haven't taken care of things.
Yeah. What other problems are going on?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that is a very relevant point right there. What about the pre-inspection, Paul?
I was gonna mention that. I think the apart from just maintaining the house or keeping it tidy, I think the bigger things, and I've always said this, there could be a plumbing leak. When a buyer goes in there, automatically money's coming off of the price. If you're asking $400,000, now you're at $395 just because they see a little bit a dripping faucet. It's going to cost $100 to fix, but there's $5,000 off the price.
That's so true, isn't it?
Yeah. So that pre-inspection is a good idea. It'll cost you a little bit of money, but at least you'll know the water heater is towards the end of its life. The roof needs some work. The furnace needs an adjustment. And those are things that you can do ahead of time so that when the buyer gets there, they're not saying, okay, I have, they're taking a pencil to your price and you're getting a much lower price.
The buyer always wants more than what those things cost.
Yeah.
If you need a service on the heater and you know that you can call a heating company and for $200 have them come out, check it out, look it over, change the filters, clean it. Yeah, not a big deal. The buyer automatically in their thing, they need at least $500 to $1,000 because the heater needs service.
Yeah.
So it is different. It puts you on offense instead of defense. That's how I've always looked at it. Instead of being on defense and trying to prove the value of your house after there's been a home inspection, when you know what your house value is worth, when you know the condition that it's in, then you're negotiating from a position of power as opposed to just playing defense.
And the roof is probably the most expensive thing that you can do, or most expensive repair that will come up. And if you can go up there and put some sealant on the tile, a couple of the shingles that have popped up, make sure that it still looks like, it has 5 to 10 years of service life. You're not negotiating a $20,000 roof.
Yeah.
Right.
You've done an $800 repair, and then you don't have that reduction that they're going to ask for.
Yeah, because most roofers, you can have them over for, anywhere between, $500 to $1,500 for just a quick, button up everything on the roof. Make sure that any nails that are popped up are taken care of, any broken shingles are taken care of, and that just ensures that the roof is in good working order.
But if they know it's a real estate contract, a new roof is what they're going to quote.
Yeah. And that makes all the difference in the world to a buyer. If a buyer has an inspection and everything says, hey, it looks great, there's 10 to 15 years left on this service life, they're not going to take issue with it. But a buyer comes in and they get a report and it's got, 15 maintenance issues on the roof listed on it. In their mind, it needs a new roof. It's ready for a new roof, even though really it needs maintenance. You've already knocked down the image of what that house is in their mind.
You put yourself at a severe disadvantage in negotiating.
One thing that I see, because I do a lot of inspections now, is when there is a leak, like a roof leak or a leak in the gutters or a leak in the porch covering or something like that, they will fix the leak, but they'll leave the evidence of the leak.
Right.
So then they're like, well, that's fixed. And we go, well, it doesn't look fixed.
Yeah.
So if you have one of those, fix it, paint it.
Yeah.
Replace the soffit, replace wherever it was. I mean, that's going to save you a ton of time and energy and money.
Yeah, and you can always disclose, like, look, I had a little roof leak there. It's been buttoned up, and you take care of it.
It's been
that
fixed.
way you're not hiding anything. Right. Because I think a lot of sellers think that they're hiding something. And no, you fixed it. I mean, if you were going to live there, would you leave the stain on the ceiling or would you have it,
It just opens the door to questions. Yeah. If I see a stain on a ceiling and it hasn't been fixed, I think there's a leak. And they say, oh, no, we fixed that a long time ago. Well, I'm still going to have somebody go up there and look and check because I can clearly see a stain on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But if it had been fixed and it was just in the disclosures that there was previously a leak in the roof and it's been fixed, I'm feeling confident about it now.
Yeah. Let's move a little bit forward in this prepping for market because we've covered some great things there. What about depersonalizing the home? How critical is that? I just read a thing the other day that literally said 90% of buyers cannot picture themselves in a home, which is weird because I can. But I have to look through the lens of a buyer. And especially if you have all your family photos up and it may be a nice collage. People put up nice collages. Some are janky. I mean, college, I had a janky wall.
But then you got married and she puts you in check and she makes sure she does the decorating now.
Things have to match and be in order. So, but what about the personalization component and then a little bit of staging? Do you think that goes a long way? For
me, when people ask me, should I take all my personal pictures off the wall? I say no. It's got to look like a home. If it's just walls, but then I think people have a harder time seeing what's going in there. What I will say is declutter. If you've got 1,000 things on your countertop, get them off of there.
Right.
Let people see the counter space. You don't need every square inch of the walls covered, but, put up some artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to hide all of your family photos and completely, move out and not let anybody see anything like that. But I do agree there's a point where there's just too much personal stuff in there. There's just too much stuff that it's not going to appeal to everybody.
Yeah. And I would say that I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum from you two in the sense that I go in and I am very much like depersonalize everything you can. And it's going to feel stark to owners, but that's okay. There's different approaches to this. It's going to feel stark to you as an owner when you pull everything off your walls, but you leave up some light decor. And I really focus on the horizontals. Like you were saying, the kitchen counters, I'm like every horizontal should be neat and tidy. And let's go to town on those for sure.
But if you're going to take stuff off the walls, fix the nail holes.
Yeah. Yeah. You leave a big mess there. So, okay. So that's stage number 2. So stage number 1, market analysis and pricing strategy. Stage number 2 is prepping for market. Stage number 3 is actively on the market. You are out there online and you're getting showings. What are things to consider? What should you be doing and not be doing as an owner?
Keep your house clean. Be ready all the time for showings, all the time. Don't say no to showings. Wake up every day and tidy up before you leave for work and just expect that you're going to have people in your house. I think a lot of people, you call for a showing and they say, oh, well, I didn't do the dishes this morning and now I'm at work. Can they do it after 3 when I get off? No, they can't. You are actively on the market. You are ready 24/7. And I know that that's difficult, but that is what you need to do. Be available.
Keep your underwear off the floor.
That's
Paul.
right.
Pick up after the dogs.
Yeah.
If you're selling your house, pick up after the dogs.
Nothing worse than, going in the backyard and the kids are excited and they want to run over to the swings and, they're seeing themselves live there. And somebody walks in with dog poop on their shoe. That ruins the showing. That ruins the good vibes.
That does not help at all.
No.
Well, how inconvenient is it though? I mean, let's talk about this because a lot of sellers don't think this through. How inconvenient is it when they say, well, we can't have you show it then because I didn't do the dishes. Can you reschedule it? As a realtor, what does that do for us? And as a client, what does that do for us?
Well, if I'm setting out this afternoon, I've got customers in town. We've got, 6 showings lined up and someone says, oh, could you just do it like after 5 or tomorrow instead? No, we can't. There are times that works, but I would say the majority of the time that doesn't work. We're not going to go out and look at 5 homes and then just go catch this one again tomorrow after you've cleaned. It's just going to come off our list.
Or wait 3 hours and then do it later in the day.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get away with it, but I would say the majority of times you've lost the opportunity with that customer right there.
So it's a huge deal.
It is. If you're going to commit to signing a listing agreement and you're going to commit to we're moving, we're selling our house, then you go all in and you say, I'm doing the things that it takes to get it done. Don't stand in the way of it. Don't say no and stand back. And I get sometimes the kids stayed home sick today. I can't pack them up. I get it.
Yeah.
But those are few and far between. I think what people really don't pay attention to is all the times they say no when they could have just been prepared. And there's no excuse for that. If you're committed to it, be ready. If you want top dollar for your house, be ready for it.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I mean, you're committing to selling your property. Be ready. Do the things that you need to do to allow for showings. I mean, you may go a week without a showing, and that happens.
You don't sign your kid up for soccer practice or for, soccer and then say, well, we'll make 3 of the practices, but the other ones on the schedule we just can't do.
Yeah.
No, when you commit, you commit.
Sure.
You're in.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So actively marketing, smells are a big thing and we're already cutting into our time. So we're going to get through this pretty quick, but smells are a big thing. Like don't overdo it with the Febreze. Like we've walked in before and it has been so strong with someone's plugged in.
You say, what are they hiding?
Yeah. What are they hiding? And then also I've had ladies like their eyes, water up and they're like, I cannot take this one more moment.
Well, I'll say we are always nose blind to our own house. Because we live in it all the time. So when you're selling, listen to the realtor. If they say there's strong odors, or a lot of houses that have pets have odors that you don't notice. So if there are strong odors, fix those before you allow showings.
Yeah, don't be offended. Take it as a welcome information that you didn't know. And
we're not criticizing. We're helping you sell your house.
Yeah, now you can tackle that.
Yep, it's constructive criticism.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so that is the 3rd stage, is actively marketing. The 4th stage is contract to close. So you've received an offer on your home. Sellers, what should you be doing and not be doing? There's certain etiquette. Of course, you don't have to be okay with a buyer wanting to see your home every other day, right? But you need to allow some reasonable access for them to do their inspections, especially during the due diligence period. After the due diligence period, they really need to wait until the walkthrough. Would you two agree with that before they get back into the property again, unless there's something extraneous?
Every now and again, a buyer may say, I just would like to measure for blinds or something, and if it's convenient, it's convenient. We try to limit that stuff just because buyers will get excited and want to go, well, now I want to take my girlfriend. Well, now I want to take my coworkers. Well, now I want my dad to see it. Well,
and stay for an hour.
Right. Yeah. That's a little excessive. But yeah, I think reasonable access, I think that
during the due diligence period, especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so just be aware of that. Don't be upset that people want to get back in because they would need to measure for furniture. They may want to show the family. Now, there's a limit to that, obviously. Yeah. And you want to keep it between the due diligence period. But, that is to be expected because we've had sellers before go, they want to come in it again? Well, yeah, they only saw it one time and it was for 15 minutes.
Right.
And now we're under contract. Yeah, they want to see it again. They want to walk through it again.
Yeah.
So be aware that that's going to be happening. What else should you be doing or not be doing during the contract phase to close?
Start packing. Don't wait to the last minute.
Common sense reigns at the Den.
It takes forever to move out.
Yeah, there's nothing like a seller who 3 days before closing says, do you think I can have another week? We're just not ready.
Exactly.
Well, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I think something really important that a lot of people look over is maintenance. Keep things up. People love to say, like, as they're walking out the door, oh yeah, the sprinkler in the corner broke last week, so let the new buyers know that there's some things out in the shed they can repair it with. No.
Yeah.
This is your home until the day you transfer it, and you will keep it in the same condition. That is common courtesy. They are purchasing a home that they saw in a certain condition. Just take care of things, even if it's a little bit extra work for you.
I'll say this too. And I know we're running out of time. Clean your house. Clean it.
Yeah.
Deep clean the house. Get a professional cleaner in there.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing for realtors to have to say at the walkthrough, this house is filthy. I'll go, well, sorry.
Yeah.
It's yours now.
People do tend to like to just pack up and, I'll leave a few things because I don't want them. Oh, they can throw it away if they don't want it. The new buyer does not want to clean up after you and throw your stuff away after you. They've got a whole move to do themselves.
We've had to rent a full dumpster.
Yeah.
Because people just left everything.
Paul and I wrote some checks there.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
But the other thing is you want to go into the next situation in your life how you left the previous one. So leave it in good order. Use the golden rule. Do unto others as you would expect them to do unto you. You like that?
Good job, Ben.
I don't deny that I know the golden rule.
Yeah.
You don't use it.
But I don't.
He knows it.
Now, that's not true. I have to say, after all these years of working with you, you are always considerate of other people's feelings.
Sticking up for me. This big bully over here.
We poke at you a lot, but that is one thing you're good at.
See, I can take it, but I can't give it. That's come on now.
You're the punching bag, Paul Berry. Well, we're winding down. Great discussion. I mean, gosh, we ran out of time. Can't even do the speed round. But that's okay. There are 4 main stages in our eyes to selling your property. The first is getting your market analysis and your pricing strategy. Your second is prepping for the sale. Third is actively marketing what you should do and should not do. And fourth is contract to close. You've heard some great insight here from the members of the Lions Group, and I hope you adapt that to you when you go to sell your property, because those are critical things. Do not sleep on step number 2, prepping your home for sale. And that's where you can get a major advantage. And speaking of advantages, go to sjcbroker.com and sign up with any one of the partners here at Lions Group for a private consultation. We'll show you how to get an advantage in today's market, whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial. We'd love to work with you. And thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den, powered by the Lions Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed and check the show notes below for direct links to our buyer and seller video series. The buyer and seller video series can give you an inside track on taking the right steps in real estate. If you'd like to learn more about the Lions Group or to schedule a consultation, go to sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lions Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.